Hi, so for today we are going to continue, or I mean, this is a new topic. We are going to talk about a rectilinear translation in dynamics of rigid bodies. So yeah, I'll be having a series of lesson all about dynamics, as well as statics, dynamics, and stratum materials. So please make sure to just hit the notification bell for you to be notified, because I think this is the subject that needs to be uh, addressed, especially there are students who are having a hard time in these subjects. So for this video, we're going to solve some problems involving the rectilinear translation or rectilinear motion. So we have 5 problems with this. And of course, we are going to have a study or solve this one by one. Okay. And if we say that if we have rectilinear motion or rectilinear translation, meaning the body is moving along a straight line. Okay, whether it's one-dimensional or two-dimensional, but we will be dealing with the two-dimensional on the later topics. But for now, we're going to deal with one-dimensional. So we have 5 problems, and we're going to solve problems here. So for number 1, okay, on a certain stretch of track, the train runs at 60 miles per hour. How far back a stop train should a warning torpedo be placed to signal an oncoming train? Okay? And then, assume that the brakes applied at once and retard the train at the uniform rate of 2 feet per second. So basically, we have a problem that how far should a train should a warning torpedo be placed to signal an incoming train. Okay. So, first of all, if we are solving this type of problem, we have to analyze what are the given. Okay. So, the train runs at 60 miles per hour. So, that's 60 miles per hour is actually the given initial velocity. Okay. Because we know if that train stopped because of the brakes applied, the initial or the final velocity must be 0. Okay, so we have to apply brakes. Just the problem says it. And we have an acceleration that is basically rate of retard the train. Okay, an acceleration that is actually deceleration. Okay, so because the brakes applied, okay, retard the train at a rate of 2 feet per second squared. So that must be negative 2 feet second squared. Again, that is negative because it hinders the train, okay, from moving. It decelerates the train from moving because it needs to be stopped. So our final velocity v or vf would be 0. Okay? So now we have the basic formulas in what do you call this, in rectilinear motion. So we have vf equals, we have v naught squared, okay, and then plus 2as. We have s as v naught, okay, multiplied by t1 half plus or minus, this is also plus or minus, 1 half at squared. So let's make it plus because the minus is dependent on the sign of the what do you call this, the sign of the acceleration. So we also have the vf equals v naught plus at. Okay, so these three are the basic fundamental kinematic equation, rectilinear equation. So what are we going to do here, since we are asked for the required, which is the distance, okay, the s. So might as well we can use this formula because we are given an initial velocity. We know that the final velocity should be 0 because the train should be stopped. And we are asked for S and we have the A. So by the way, we have this is also squared. Okay, this is already also squared. So we have VF squared, okay, equals V naught squared plus 2AS. But the problem is V naught squared would be 0. So if I'm going to isolate S as my problem here, okay, so we have 0 equals V naught squared. Then we have minus 2. That minus is because of the 2 feet per second squared. Okay? So, and then S. So if I'm going to isolate S, that would be 2k, okay, and then times 2 multiplied by S equals V naught squared. So what the problem is, in V naught squared, it's in terms of miles per hour. And the problem with that is because it's not consistent with the unit of the acceleration. So we have to perform first the conversion of miles to feet. So we have 60 miles per hour multiplied by, we need to convert this, no, into feet per second. So miles, 1 mile is basically equal to 5280 feet. Okay, so that would cancel. And also, we still need to multiply this. So, because this is an hour. So, 1 hour is basically 60 minutes. Cancelled. And then we need to cancel the 60 minute. So, 1 minute equals 60 seconds. So, this cancelled. So all in all, we have the formula V naught. We have converted that 60 times 5 to 80. Okay. Then 1 times 1 is 1 times 60 is 60 times 60. So 60 times 60. Okay. Or 3,600. So we can cancel 160 here. So V naught in terms of feet per second would be 88 feet per second. Okay, that is our velocity in terms of feet per second. So now, if we are going to basically solve this, so we have 4, okay, we have 4s equals V naught is 88 squared. So we have s equals 88 squared all over 4. And then we can get in terms of feet. So since this is in terms of feet per second, okay, and divided by the 4 feet per second squared here, so we have a value of feet. So 88 squared divided by this 4 would be 1,936 feet. If that is in terms of feet, the answer is being asked in terms of feet, that's the answer. So if you're going to convert it in terms of miles, so do the same thing, do the same conversion that we did a while ago. Okay, so, or in miles, we have to convert this. So we have 1936 feet multiplied by 5 to 80 feet. In 1 mile, that is 5 to 80 feet. So this would be cancelled. The feet will cancel. Yan. So we have an answer of 0.3667 miles. So that would be our answer in terms of miles. If that is in terms of miles. If the choices is in terms of miles. Okay? So basically, we need to be consistent with the units. Okay? So number 2, we have number 2. A stone is thrown vertically upward and returns to the earth in 10 seconds. What was its initial velocity and how high did it go? So we have a value or a given that is 10 seconds. So basically, it's a stone is thrown vertically upward and returns to the earth in 10 seconds. So basically, you throw a stone and it returned to the earth after 10 seconds. So what was the initial velocity and how high did it go? The question is initial velocity and how high did it go? Basically, that is still in the process. We are still in the process of getting the velocity and the height. Okay, maximum height of that stone. So what are we going to do is we can use the formula that we have presented a while ago, wherein we have VF equals V naught plus AT. Okay? So, but the problem here is that the stone is in terms of free fall motion. So, ibig sabihin, or it means that the stone, okay, is basically acted by acceleration due to gravity. So our acceleration due to gravity here would be actually negative. So we have VF equals V naught minus GT. So we have the time, okay, the time it takes to travel. So our final velocity, of course, our final velocity would be still 0 because upon the stone reaching the height or the, for example, this is the stone thrown upwards. Okay, this is the stone. So it returns to Earth 10 seconds. So in the motion that this stone reaches its maximum height, the final velocity there would be 0. Okay? So we are asked for the initial velocity. So this would be 0 equals initial velocity minus GT. So we have VO equals GT. Okay? So this becomes negative because I've already put negative 9.8. So I transpose it so it becomes positive 9.8. So V naught would be 9.81, okay, meters per second squared multiplied by 10 seconds. So the S will cancel, one S will cancel. So the V naught would be actually 98.1 meters per second. Okay? So this is in terms of meters per second. So yeah. So how do we get for the height of this stone? Okay? The height of this stone. Let's say that's the height. Okay? How high did it go? So we are going to use the formula that we have a while ago. That is S V naught T plus 1/2 AT squared. But in this case, the V naught actually is 0. So the V naught T will be 0 because from the perspective of throwing the ball, the initial velocity is 0. So yeah, the VF here, the final velocity becomes 0. It's not because it is on the maximum height, but rather it's basically it goes down after 10 seconds. Okay. So here in V naught, it's basically on the perspective of throwing the ball, so or the rock. So this initial velocity becomes 0, and we are left with plus 1/2 AT squared. Okay. So that is how we did it. So of course, if we are going to measure the stone, okay, from the stone, the height to the reference, okay, that would be negative h or negative s. So we have negative s equals our acceleration due to gravity is negative also. So we have negative 1/2 9.81 and then 10 squared. So if I multiply this both sides by negative 1, the negative on both sides will cancel. So we have S equals 1/2 9.81 times 10 squared. So if we solve this, our value in terms of meters would be 490.5 meters. So 490.5 meters. And that's how high the rock actually go. Okay? That's for number 2. So for number 3, we have a ball is dropped from the top of the tower 80 feet high at the same instant that a second ball is thrown upward from the ground with an initial velocity of 40 feet per second. So when, the question is when, that's time, and where do they pass, and with what relative velocity. So basically, we have two balls. We have two scenarios. So this is the ground. We have on the top of the tower, let's say that is my tower, okay? That is 80 feet high, okay? So that is 80 feet high. 80 feet. So from the top of the tower, a ball is dropped. So I have a ball here that is dropped 80 feet high. At the same instant that a second ball is thrown upward. So there is another ball that is thrown upward. Let's say. Okay, the same instant. From the ground with an initial velocity. This has an initial velocity of 40 feet per second. Okay. When and where do they pass and with what relative velocity? So I drop this. Okay. This is a free falling body. This is my ball 1. This is ball 2. Okay. When and where do they pass? Okay. So it means that at some time, this ball 1 would meet ball 2, okay, along the way in the process of same instant of um, throwing the ball, let's say. So, they will meet at some certain time, okay, here. For example, this would be the ball 2, okay? So, at what instant? When? So, meaning, guys, that if they meet, they have the same height. Okay? They should have the same height. The height of ball 1 should be equal to the height of ball 2. So, that's the height. Oh, it's very colorful. Let me change that. So, uh, they have the same height. Those two balls have the same height. And that height, we don't know. Okay? So, if this whole height, I'm just imagining this. If this whole height is 80, and this is the height that they will meet, the two balls will meet, is height h. Okay? So, meaning this one would be 80 minus h. Okay? So, let's analyze it independently. So, the height would be v naught t plus 1 half 80 squared. That's my equation 1. So, we have an initial velocity of 40 for the ball 2. Okay, we have an initial velocity for the ball 2. We have 40 time. We don't know the time. They will pass. Okay, so we don't know that time, but certainly they will pass. And then we have minus 1 half because of the acceleration due to gravity in terms of feet per second at 32.2 feet per second squared. So that's negative. So I have a negative here. So 32.2 feet per second squared here. Okay? So that's the acceleration due to gravity. And the time, we don't know. Okay? So that's the height 1. So what happens is if we try to actually simplify this, this would be without writing the units so that it looks neat. Okay. So that is my equation 1. Now for ball 2, so since for ball 1, I'm sorry, since I just let it drop at rest, okay? So basically this height of ball 1 where it meets the ball 2 is 80 minus h as what we have said. So my height will be 80 minus h. So that is still height, that is still s, the distance. So 80 minus h, and then since v naught plus t plus 1 half 80 squared. So since it started from rest, I let it go down, the v naught would be 0 for the ball 1. Okay? So we have 80 minus h equals, we have 1 half. Okay, our acceleration due to gravity is still, we have negative 32.2. Okay, and then times squared. Yeah, that is our equation for the ball 2. So our goal here is actually get the what do you call this, the height and the time. Okay, so by equating these two heights, we can get the time. Okay, so what will happen is we have 80 minus h, we divide this becomes negative 16.1 t squared. So if we solve for h there, so we have 80, okay, and then we have, so of course this should be minus, so sorry, minus, because we have our reference with the ground. Okay, so we have the reference. So if we are going to have our reference on the ground, so this would be minus. Okay, so that we won't be having any problems with the sign. So it becomes minus because the 80 minus h here is our reference is on the top. Okay? So since our reference for the first calculation is from the ground, so we have to add -1 here. Okay? We have to multiply -1 there. So that's the meaning of minus. Because if we don't have -1 here, okay, so we'll be having troubles with the signs of h. So we have, if we distribute this, that would be h minus 80 equals -16.1 t squared. So the h should be positive because this is with respect to the ground. So that's why we reference it on the ground both. So we have h equals 80 minus 16.1 t squared. So this is our equation 2. So if you plug in equation 1 and equation 2, so we have equation 1, they are both equal to h. So we have 80 minus 16.1 t squared equals, we have 40t. So if we evaluate this, this is also 16.1 t squared. So minus 16.1 t squared. Okay. So, and these twos will basically cancel. Okay. So we are left with 80 equals 40t. We can solve for the time when they will be passing through. Okay. So the time that it takes that they will be passing through, the two balls will pass. So we have 80 all over 40, that is 2. So time is equal to 2 seconds. So the time it takes for them to pass through is 2 seconds. Given that they have, one ball is dropped and another ball is thrown upward. So 2 seconds they meet. So where do they pass? Okay. So that's the question. Where do they pass? So we can either use equation 1 or equation 2 with that, because if we are going to analyze, if they pass, they have the same height. Okay? So using the equations there, okay, for example, this one, equation 2, 80 minus 16.1 t squared. So the height would be 80, okay, minus, okay, 16.1 times time, which is 2 squared, is 15.6, okay, meters. The 15.6 meters, okay, from the bottom. Okay, because we have referenced this in the bottom, both. Okay? So, how about the relative velocity? Okay. So, the relative velocity basically is we're going to compute the velocity of the ball. So, we can have velocity of the ball, final velocity of the ball 2, minus the initial velocity of the ball 2, 80. Okay, relative velocity. So if we transpose, basically, VF2 will become VO2, initial velocity of ball 2, then minus 32.2, that's the acceleration due to gravity, multiplied by the time, which is 2. So we are getting a result of, this is 40 minus 32.2 times 2. This is a negative result, of course. Negative 24.4 feet per second. How about the, for vol 1, we can easily calculate using the formula that we have a while ago. That's the same formula that we use. So VF equals V naught plus 80. It so happened that for the ball that is on the up of the tower, the V naught would be 0. So we can get the final velocity. So we have 0 minus 32, okay, 0.2 k multiplied by 2. So since the ball is going down, this has a negative. Okay? So that's the concept. The ball is going down. Okay, the final velocity must be negative. So we have multiplied this by -1, so this becomes BF1 32.2 times 2, and that is 64.4 feet per second. So the relative velocity will be just 64.4 feet per second minus the 24.4 feet per second. 24.4 feet per second. So the relative velocity would be 40 feet per second. So yeah, that is for number 3. For number 4, we have a drop stone in a well. I can remember this is a board exam question. A stone is dropped down a well, and 5 seconds later, the sound of the splash is heard. If the velocity of the sound is 1,120 feet per second, what is the depth of the well? So I thrown a stone. I throw the stone, and 5 seconds later, the sound of the splash is heard. Heard. This is heard. No? So what happens is that 5 seconds is basically the time that this is T sub 1, the time that the stone has traveled downwards. Okay? And that is basically plus, okay, the time it takes, okay, the time it takes for the stone to have splash, for the stone to have, or for the velocity of the sound to travel. That is the time it takes for the sound to be heard. That is the, let me just rewrite. Because there is a velocity in sound. Okay? So the total time is 5 seconds. Okay. So we are going to solve for the depth of the well. Okay. So the time it takes for the sound to be heard will be isolated. So that would be T sub 2 equals T sub A minus T sub 1. Okay. This is the time for the sound to be heard. T sub 2. Okay. We really need that. That becomes 5 minus T sub 1. Okay. So now, what happens is that the depth of the well is actually V naught T plus 1/2 AT squared. Okay? So, the S is being asked. So, if this is the reference mouth of the well, so this is 0 height or 0 distance. So, we are going downward, so that is negative S. So, given that this is negative S and the initial velocity should be 0, okay? Because initially, you have a stone and initially you are to drop a stone. So this would be negative 1/2 32.2. Of course, that's the acceleration due to gravity that we are going to use because it is in terms of feet. So we have T squared. Okay? So our T squared here would be basically, okay, basically, this is basically the time of the stone. This time is the time of the stone to be dropped. To be dropped. Okay, this distance is actually the distance that we are trying to get once the stone is dropped. Okay, this is T sub 1. So T sub 1 squared. So negatives will cancel. So this becomes S equals, we have 16.1 T sub 1 squared. Okay, so this is the other S. Now, for the other S is basically, okay, the sound, the speed of sound actually is heard, okay? And that is basically T sub 2, okay? So, the reflection of the sound from the splashing of the well is another time, okay? But it has the same distance because I heard it the same, okay, on the well. So it has the same distance. So the same distance that we're going to use, okay, for the splashing of the sound. So the speed of sound is basically what? Basically v sub s times t. So yeah, if you remember the formula, dv equals to t. So the velocity of sound is this, and the time of the sound that it heard, okay, is this one. And this is basically what we are trying to solve. This is t sub 2. The time it takes for the sound to be heard. Okay? So that's t sub 2. We are going to minus t sub 1 there because 5 seconds after we heard the sound. So we have s that is basically the same s here. Okay? So it's going upward. So because that's the point of reference. So our velocity is going upwards. We have 112 feet per second. And then our t sub 2 is 5 minus t sub 1. So yeah, we have two equations. Okay. So our first is S equals 16.1 t sub 1 squared. This t sub 1 is again the time it takes for the stone to travel. So, and then the another S is the speed of sound, 1120, 5 minus t sub 1. So if we equate these two, so we will be having an equation that is 1120, 5 minus t sub 1 equals 16.1 t sub 1 squared. So if we're going to solve this, we will be using quadratic equation. So if we are going to solve this, 1120 multiplied by 5. So that's 5,600. So 5,600 minus 1120 t sub 1 equals 16.1 t sub 1 squared. So now, if we are going to rearrange this, so we have 16.1 t sub 1 squared plus 1120 t sub 1. So imagine I've transposed this on the right side. So, and I choose this as the left side. So 1120 t sub 1, then this will be minus 5,600 equals 0. So solving using your calculator, of course, no, we can solve this mode equation in the 3. So we have 16.1, and then we have 1120, and then we have negative 56. Okay, so we will be having two values of t. Okay, two values of t to get it. So one is the t sub 1. One root is we have 4.6845. 4.6845 seconds. And the other one is negative 74. So there's no such thing as negative 74. So you're going to drop the negative 74. Okay. So this would be our answer for t sub 1. What is the question, by the way? What is the depth of the well? So if you already got the t sub 1, we can either substitute it on the first equation or the second equation to get the depth of the well. So we have 16.1 t sub 1 squared. So that's 16.1 times t sub 1 is 4.6845 squared. So that's the depth of the well. So let's try to solve this. Using our calculator. So that would be 16.1 times 4.6845 squared. Oops, 5 squared. So that's 300. Okay, 353.31 feet. So I have 353.31 feet. So that's how deep the well is. Okay? So yeah, so that's how we solve it. So for number 5, leave it to you as an work. Okay, you're going to repeat the problem 4 if the splash is heard. This is the splash is heard after 4 seconds. 4 seconds after. Okay, so you're going to just change the time, the equation into 4 minus t sub 1. And then you're going to solve for the height of the well. So thank you so much for listening. If you're new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe. and to my channel for more engineering tutorials and math tutorials. So thank you so much and God bless.